Hi, welcome to another video. This is my monthly wrap-up where basically I'm just going to talk about all the books, movies, and various things that I have consumed over the month of March. I also play a board game along with this, so it's like it's a monthly wrap-up game instead of a TBR game like a lot of people do on YouTube, BookTube, whatever, that. I am hungover. I'm getting better, but I am hungover. I had a book club night where we drank quite a bit of wine. So this is just, yeah, I didn't feel like doing anything to make myself more presentable. And honestly, if you're someone who frequently comes around and watches my videos, this is pretty normal. If you're new, this is pretty normal. Let's just get right into it. We're gonna start off with the books, then I'll talk about like any movies or TV shows that I've watched in the month, which I did watch quite a few. But starting off, I read I think I borrowed the ebook from Libby or something, and it was Fugitive Telemetry, which is the 6th book in the Murderbot series. It's the most, it is most recently that came out. Well, yeah, because there's a 7th one that's coming out, but it hasn't come out yet. So anyways, point is I'm caught up with Murderbot. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. And basically what it's about is that a murder has happened on Preservation Station, and Murderbot is kind of brought in as a consultant, and now he has to voluntarily speak to humans, which is not something he enjoys doing. It is now a novella, so the previous book, I forgot what it was called, but that one was like a full-length novel. This one is a novella again. It's quite short, moves through things very quickly. It's very fun. There's obviously a lot of banter, a lot of sarcasm, exasperation over humans, some pretty interesting robots as well in this one, which I quite enjoyed. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was nothing that really would stick with me for very long. Like I'm even now, I'm not entirely sure everything that happened, like the details, but it was Murderbot investigating a murder. That's basically it. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. 4 out of 5. I'm gonna move on my board. I don't really know what else to say about Murderbot. They're really short books, and it's kind of just an experience to read them. It's like watching a quick movie or a show and binging it and enjoying it, and then, you know, knowing that they're good books to recommend to people if you just want something fun to read that's, you know, you'll get through pretty quickly. Okay, so the spot I landed on, thankfully, is very easy, which is for me to compare the last book that I rated, so Fugitive Telemetry in this case, to a song. Fuck, what kind of song would I compare it to? Is it Level? I don't know. Whatever. Might be crooked. Yeah, I'm sorry. The memory in the camera was full because I don't have a very large memory card or something. Anyways, the song that I'm gonna compare Fugitive Telemetry to it's a song that I found on Spotify. I think it was in like one of those weekly discovery lists. It's called House of Wolves by Sad Songs Only, and I clicked on it and I'm like, this is the only song by this band. Is this even a band? I don't know. Anyways, it's a nice song. I recommend you check it out, and I do think that it captures the vibe of Fugitive Telemetry. All right, next book. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. It is technically a standalone. There is another book, but you don't have to read it, and I'm pretty sure, I think it's like a sequel to it, maybe a prequel. I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love this book. It is a lot of fun. So basically, it's like, it's been 20 years since this renowned band of mercenaries called Saga have disbanded, and they're each living their own lives very differently. And one of them has decided to try and get them back together to save his daughter. The issue is that they're a little rusty, you know? They're not there in their prime, you know, early 20s, strong and abled and defeating monsters throughout their land. No, they're like 40 going on 50. They've lost a lot. They haven't been practicing. And so they encounter a lot of challenges. I mean, they have to fight a chimera in which basically the whole time you're like, they're gonna die. They're gonna fucking die. They're definitely dead. How the fuck are they not dead? Like, it was more luck that kept them alive than anything else. But everything that happened in this book was so much fun. It had that very Dungeons and Dragon type of feel to it, where it's like this quest that they go on. It's very simple. It's go save the daughter, but they have to get everyone else in their band first, and that becomes like mini little quests that happen, and you could feel almost the author rolling like a dice and being like, oh, that's a 6. All right, well, I guess they don't really succeed in that. Or, oh, they rolled a 20. I guess they got lucky enough and they got out of it. Like, that's how it felt sometimes. I will say the pacing of it was sometimes a little bit difficult. It is a long book, and there's some moments that might feel like, you know, you don't really need it, but I loved every second of it, every single second of it. It was just so much fun. And it also was quite heartwarming. Like, I don't know, it was like these old friends getting back together, and one of them is a king who, his wife is she's a necrophiliac. Is it necrophiliac? Is that it? The one that has... Nymphomaniac, thank you.
Boy.
I always get it wrong. It's either someone who has sex with dead bodies or someone who likes sex too much. They really should change the wording for that. No, his wife is a nymphomaniac, and like all of his children don't even really belong to him, and yet he still loves them. And then you've got a wizard who is running around in his pajamas the whole time. Then you've got the shield guy who's just kind of grumpy, and like he just wants to do the right thing. He's very quiet. Then you've got their like leader guy who's just very impulsive and is always the one to say like, let's go fucking do that. And they're like, all right, fuck it, why not? Then they've got their scary one who they're like, yeah, don't fuck with him because he's got a temper. It was so much fun. I loved it. I loved every second. I've already said that. I repeat myself a lot. Yeah, so if any of that was interesting to you, I highly recommend you pick it up. I couldn't be happier about these little prompts that I'm getting because I'm just not in the mood to do anything intense right now, clearly. So the spot I landed on, it just tells me to, you know, say a quote from the last book I rated, which is this one. And there's a quote that I absolutely love. I feel like I need to give a little bit of context just so that the greatness of it does not go unnoticed. So basically, again, they're doing all these kinds of quests, and they go to find their old mate. What was his name again? I think it was Gainlin. He's the scary one, the one with a temper. Anyways, they end up staying in the town, and they go to a tavern that they used to go to a lot when they were, you know, the famous Saga band of mercenaries. And, well, there's like this quick summary of the tavern ends up burning down, but you don't get it as like, how do I explain it? It's almost like it says like, and in the years to come, various stories will appear of how this tavern burned down. Some will say that this happened, and some will say that that happened. But at the end, we all know that there was only one casualty, and it's like a bard who apparently was always in that tavern. And the Saga, the band of guys, they knew him, and they were like, hey, he's the one bard that we've never killed, because they apparently have killed many bards, not on purpose, just, you know, as an occupational hazard. But the bard in question, I think he on his tomb, he put a line, or like they wrote a quote that he said quite frequently. I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. So the guy was named Pete, and the inscription on his tombstone was, when we seek to rule only ourselves, we are each of us kings. And I think that that's really cool. Very true, too. All right, the next book I read, I have it physically, but I actually listened to it in audiobook. It's Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Talking is hard. By Leigh Bardugo, Clearly I was not able to get this stupid sticker off. Ninth House, it's pretty popular. A lot of people know about it. It is, I did look it up because I was curious whether this book, because Hellbent came out recently, and I was curious whether it was a duology or a trilogy. It is going to be a trilogy, so this is the first book in the trilogy. I gave this first book 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. I just felt kind of about it. So basically, it's about a girl called Alex Stern, who she can see ghosts, and she's always kind of been able to do that, although a specific event made it a little more prevalent in her life. Anyways, she gets this scholarship that kind of comes out of nowhere for her to go to Yale, and this scholarship is provided by a secret society, or rather multiple secret societies. It's a little foggy on the details, and she gets, you know, kind of recruited and taken in by this mentor who's trying to show her the ropes of like how these secret societies, they manage the paranormal, and they, you know, how they keep people safe, and how they also make sure that people do not abuse the power of it. So it's very much like magic and ghosts and monsters, well, not monsters, but, you know, stuff like that. Now, her mentor goes missing, and then there's also a murder. So Alex ends up being in the middle of this world that she barely knows anything about, and she is also a survivor, though, which I did really like about her. I did really like her character and how she's pretty morally gray. Like, she is going to do what she needs to do to survive. Now, there are bits and pieces that are alluded to where you're like, is she responsible for something here? Like, she, again, you don't really see her as a good character. You see her as someone that you're like, yeah, you could potentially kill someone to save your own ass. But yeah, she is helping a detective figure out what is going on with these murders, but because the murders are pointing to more of an occult thing, she's also managing a lot of like conspiracy type of stuff and corruption and things like that. I think the writing was good, or the audiobook anyways. The narrator was really good. There were 2 narrators for the book because there's dual points of view. There's Alex Stern and then Darlington, which is the guy, her mentor. I think that the narrator for Alex Stern was definitely better, but whatever, that's just my opinion. Yeah, I didn't find it phenomenal, but it was interesting. It was interesting enough for me to be interested in, what the fuck am I repeat, interesting. What was I saying? It was interesting enough for me to want to potentially pick up the second book. Okay, so that little prompt that I put in there, the Love, Death, Robots, the last book I rated. Basically, if you don't know, there's a show on Netflix called Love, Death, Robots, where it's basically these small, like, short story animations that animators and writers made as like an anthology series. But the point is that every episode in that series, it'll have like these little emojis. So there'll be 3 emojis that kind of represent what's going to be in the show. So this is basically doing that for a book. I can't create emojis for each of them, so I'm going to use words, and then if I can find emojis that maybe fit it, then maybe I'll put it up here if I can even figure out how to do that. So for Ninth House, I mean, 100% I would put like murder. So probably like a knife or something, because there's murder. Then, God, what would be murder? Well, secret societies. Like, how do you even oh, maybe that like Illuminati symbol. If I can find that, the Illuminati symbol for sure. Because, you know, conspiracies and shit, it's all come from there, right? I don't know my conspiracies. Murder, conspiracies, and I don't want to say ghosts because I feel like the ghosts didn't really have a huge impact in the book. Trauma. Trauma was a pretty big part of the book. Oh fuck, this is kind of hard actually. We'll do ghosts. We'll just do ghosts because I mean, she does technically get possessed by ghosts quite frequently, and the ghosts kind of help her. She does get help from a ghost too. Okay, so yeah, murder, conspiracies, and ghosts. This is my interpretation of a ghost. Next book is, I'm actually quite surprised I got to it because it's a new release and I tend to not get to new releases when they actually come out, but I actually got to this one like the week it came out. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty, or S.A. Chakraborty. This is her second trilogy that she's starting. She wrote the City of Brass before this, which I had intended to read before I read this, but then I got this and then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna read this. Mostly because I put like a poll on Instagram and I was like, what should I read next? And people are like, this one. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll read it. So this is indeed the first book in a trilogy, which has just begun, so it is not complete yet. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi is about a woman called Amina Al-Sirafi, who she was a pirate and she left that behind. She's been living with her family, her daughter. She has a young daughter. But an offer for quite a bit of money has come up and she's like, well, you know, that could really set my daughter up for the future, so fuck it, let's do it. Also, it is to save the daughter, another daughter, of one of her old crewmates. So she's like, yeah, you know, I guess I kind of owe him. Are we good?
No.
Puppy emergency. Stare at the squirrel that is taunting you. Okay, what did I say? What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, I mean, I think I kind of summarized that, right? So she goes out to go look for her ship again and she finds her old crewmates, and honestly, the characters in this were really fun. They were all quite interesting. I do think that they lacked a little bit of, like, not depth, but I would have preferred a little bit more from them in the story. You get a lot of Amina and you get a lot of her ex-husband, or her current husband that she didn't leave. That gets complicated, but I did really enjoy the fact that, like, it starts off as just her going to go look for the guy's daughter and then ends up discovering that there's a madman European occultist who is quite terrifying and turns people into these superhuman monster things. And then they also have a giant sea monster. It really, honestly, that aspect made me think of Davy Jones' crew. Is that what they were called? No, what was it called? The Flying Dutchman. It made me think of the Flying Dutchman, except for the fact that they are not pirates and they are not, like, on a ship crew. I don't know, it just made me think of that. But anyways, this is not at all Pirates of the Caribbean-esque, in my opinion. It was much closer to Kings of the Wild, actually. Just, you know, throw in mythology that is, because Kings of the Wild is very Western based. This is, you know, I mean, the author prides herself in creating stories that are more Islamic based, Middle Eastern. There we go, that's what I was fucking looking for, Middle Eastern. So throw in Middle Eastern, like, mythologies and things like that, like jinns and I don't know what the fuck the rest of them were called. They were described and they were very weird, but they weren't really given a name. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna say more because I feel like I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna spoil something that is actually quite interesting to learn and get to. So yeah, it was fun. What? Oh, I thought you were talking to me. Fuck you. What was I gonna say? Oh, right. I only gave this like 4 out of 5 stars though, because it very much had an introduction feel to it, which is okay. That's totally fine for the beginning of a series to have that feel. But it definitely did not reach a potential that it could have, but I'm very excited for the rest of it. So yes, worth a read. Very well written as well. Loved it. Alright, so I died in my game. Shut up.
Get shit on.
So I'm dead, so that means I'm there. I'm stuck.
I don't know how to do it this way, I'm learning. There we go.
You're doing it fine. I don't know how to do that either. You should see the kids do it. I will have you know I'm leaving that in there.
Fuck.
So basically I'm stuck in my little dead spot in the middle of the board and I can't get out until the next turn. Although I don't think I'm gonna get out the next turn either because, well, the next book that I read is, I didn't finish it. It is The Sentence by Louise someone, I don't know. It was a book club pick with my local library It is a standalone. It's a literary contemporary, I think. And I mean, I DNF'd it. I had the audiobook. I was like, maybe I'll get... I had the physical book from the library. I started it and I was like, I need an audiobook. So I just got the audiobook and I was listening to it and I was incredibly bored. I felt like I was listening to something, but I wasn't registering what was happening. And then when I did try to focus, all I wanted to do was to stop listening. And all I can really tell you is that it's a lady who went to jail for something, and then she suddenly just owns a bookstore and has a husband, and the bookstore is haunted by a ghost. Now that sounds fun, right? But it was so boring. It was so boring. Like nothing happened, and it quickly progressed through different things. And even the people at the book club, because when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I feel like maybe the ladies at the book club are gonna love this. So when I went and I told them, I was like, well, I didn't finish it. They're like, oh, hey, me neither. Like a bunch of them just could not stand it. And they said that like it had moments that were just really long and tedious for no reason. Like I guess she goes to a grocery store and describes what it's like to go to a grocery store. And I did learn that the book is semi-autobiographical, where like the author put her own name in there too. And I don't know, man, I don't know. It was weird. So I DNF'd it, which means that I can't, well, technically I'm supposed to move back a space on my board when I DNF, but because I'm dead, I'm just gonna say that it means that I can't even roll to get out of my dead spot. Yay. You good, puppy? I know you want to get to my pirate's booty. I have a bowl, like leftover pirate's booty from last night's book club in front of me. It's stale. It's not very good, but I don't like wasting food. I'm not giving it to her though. Next book that I read is The Skin by J.E. Hannaford, I believe is the author's name. Either way, the picture will be up here, so you'll be able to tell me if I'm wrong. This is the first book in, I'm not sure if it's a duology. I know that there's another book that it's related to, which is called The Pact. I honestly didn't really look into it very much. It is an indie book, so it's self-published. I gave this a 2.5 stars out of 5. So it's about, you follow the story of a Selkie who is trying to get her sister's skin back, because Selkies, you know, they have their own skin and they like take it off. But so she's trying to get her sister's skin back, and she gets in like, y'all shut up!
Fuck you!
Are you slapping each other with tortillas?
Yeah, you wanna join in?
No! Why are you doing?
Because it was an online challenge for a while and I wanted to see if it would hurt.
Oh.
So I slapped him twice, he slapped me once.
And does it hurt?
Wanna find out? Fuck around, sweet cheeks.
What the fuck? Who am I slapping?
Yourself, I'll slap you.
Alright, fuck it. Hold on. I gotta show this though. Slap me. Oh.
You're blocking the shot.
I'm ready.
I'll go easy.
Ready. Oh. Why does that?
I don't know.
Why is this a thing?
Hit me!
Alright. Sorry.
It is.
What are you supposed to do? Isn't there like a challenge to it?
Yeah, you're supposed to like ask them a question or something. I don't know. Hold on. You're supposed to keep water in your mouth. Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, alright.
Are you about to deep throat the faucet? You are! She's literally about to spit water all over the floor that I just walked all over me.
Stop!
You didn't even make it to the tortilla step.
No, because you're like stupid.
I'm stupid.
Hold on, I need to remain composed.
I'm fingering dirt. Just say you're ready when you're ready. Here, you can slip.
Are you gonna
do I
do
need
water?
water? Alright, I'll deep throat the faucet, I guess.
Okay, ready? Here we go. Oh, that didn't work. Stop! I'm trying. I can't reach. Harder? I don't want to hurt you. Okay, all right. Oh boy. Don't accidentally hit him with your hand. What are you, folding it?
What'd you get?
Oh my god!
Alright, that one, I felt that one.
Are we just giving this to the dogs now?
I don't care, it's the fucking tortilla. Oh, that was funny as shit.
Alright. This is what happens when I film on a fucking Saturday and they're One of them's cooking and one of them is doing like plants. What the fuck was going on again? Oh, I was talking about the skin, the book. Right. Did I summarize it? I think I did. I basically said she goes to get her sister's skin and she ends up, right, okay, and then getting back on track here. So she's trying to find her sister's skin and she's trying to survive in a world that basically is very unforgiving to magical folk, I guess, where they hide among humans, but she gets involved in like a guy who is secretly, like he's hiding as a human, but he is actually a Selkie as well, and he's trying to find a way to free the old ones and the magical beings and whatever. He's conducting an undercover rescue mission type of thing, all right? But now, the reason I didn't like it very much was because there was, I guess, like this weird point of view thing happening, and I think it was supposed to end up being like a surprising discovery of who the points of view were, and I kind of already guessed it pretty early on. I don't know if it was supposed to be a surprise or if it was just supposed to be like a, hey, these are like different timelines and different points of views, but there's a reveal to this, or if it was like, hey, like I know you know what this reveal is, but these are different timelines anyways. I don't know. So there was that. Then like the pacing for me was just, it was really hard. Like a lot of times I didn't want to pick up the book because I was like, it either would move like really, really slowly or really fast, or sometimes I wasn't sure exactly what it was, where it was going at times. I was like, where is this, you know, trying to lead me to? I don't know. I just didn't really feel the book that much. I don't think it was bad at all. Like I can see why a lot of people could enjoy it. Maybe for me it was like the execution wasn't there. I think that's what it is. The execution wasn't there for me. Anyways, with that, I'm gonna try and roll myself out of my dead zone. But my rating for the book is now basically used up for me rolling out of my dead zone. So I can't move after I roll out. I just realized too, I have not explained anything about this board game. And that's because the last video I did has like a whole explanation on the board at the beginning of the video. So if you want to understand what the fuck is going on right now, I'll just link that in the description and you can watch the beginning of last month's wrap up. So. So I rolled my dice, I got a 1, which means that I had to get out in that spot, whatever, you saw it, maybe, if I filmed right. The last book that I read in the month of March was Hellbent. It was the second book in the Alex Stern trilogy, and I enjoyed this one a lot more than I did the first one. I feel like the second book had, I don't know, it had more to it. I understood more of what was going on. I was more invested in the characters. I liked what was happening. It was fun, also terrifying. So basically the second one is that Alex Stern is still looking for her mentor who has disappeared, and there's also murder still happening. But this time, rather than it being like a bunch of rich snobs and conspiracies and corruption, it's hell. We get demons and shit, and it honestly, like the way that it was done it felt accurate. Even though like there's no real way to prove what demons do, but whatever. I mean, that's it. I don't really want to say more than that. The first book I felt like was very adult. Kind of. Not really. I think the second book just kind of confirmed to me that like this series is not really made for an adult audience, rather new adult. And the only reason I say that is because there was more of like development on the romantic side, even though the romance is by no means really very romantic, but there is like a relationship building, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting more of what the vibe is of this book now. This girl survivor who's dealing with ghosts and demons and secret societies, and, you know, also kind of just learning to trust people and to have hope, I guess. I don't know. I feel like expressing myself is really hard right now. I also got slapped with a tortilla, so whatever that explains. I don't know. I'm so lost. Hellbent was good. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. It was good. I'm actually pretty excited to read the last book, though. For how long it took for Hellbent to come out since Ninth House, I feel like we're gonna be waiting a while. But that's okay, because authors take however long they need to write their books. So, I landed in Labyrinth, which means that I'm fucking lost, which means that now I need to roll a 6 dice to determine the distance and then flip a coin to determine the direction. The dice, let's just do that, so I'll just... Dog. This is what I'm dealing with right now. Okay, I'm gonna roll my dice. Oh, I got a 6. So this could potentially be very good if I go forward. If I go backwards, not so good. So now we flip the coin to determine whether I go forwards, backwards. So heads, forward, tails, backwards. Let's go. Let's see. Tails backwards, of course. Of course it was fucking tails. So I landed on an empty spot again, but because that was like a consequence of the Labyrinth spot, then I'm not doing anything there. All right, we're done with the books. That's everything that I read in March. Now we're gonna get into the movies and TV shows. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I watched quite a few movies this month. So I'm just gonna kind of go through them pretty quickly. I will read like a quick synopsis of them because, you know, just to give you an idea. So the first one is The Woman King, which came out in 2022, and I watched it on Netflix. That's primarily where I watch everything. It has an IMDb rating of a 6.88 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is a 94%, so I guess the Rotten Tomato reviewers really liked it. And the synopsis is, in the 1800s, a group of all-female warriors protects the African kingdom of Dahomey with skills and fierceness unlike anything the world has ever seen. Faced with a new threat, Faced with a new threat, General. It's abbreviated. Faced with a new threat, General Naniska trains the next generation of recruits to fight against a foreign enemy that's determined to destroy their way of life. I didn't know what to expect with this movie, honestly. I picked it, it was for a Discord night with some people who watch the video game streams who stick around quite often. I started a Discord where we can just kind of hang out and have Friday nights where we either watch movies or play games or whatever, just something casual. So we picked The Woman King. I had personally expected something that was either going to be like very fantastical. I don't know why. Maybe it was just from like the picture that I saw on Netflix. But it ended up being, you know, it was historical and it was based during like slave time. So it was like slavery from the perspective of, you know, in Africa. And it was surprisingly really good. It was very emotional. It was very interesting. There were a lot of emotional moments, man. Like there was a revelation about one of the characters, the young girl, that I did not expect. There was loss that I didn't want to cry to, but I did. So it was very good. If you enjoy those kind of like historical, wartime, very epic type of movies, stories, whatever, you'll probably really enjoy it. I liked it a lot. The next movie that I watched was Seventh Son, which I'm pretty sure I watched it when I was sick. I just wanted to watch anything. And I saw that Seventh Son had, what's his name? Jeff Bridges. It had Jeff Bridges in it, so I was like, oh, it'll probably be good. So, Seventh Son came out in 2014. It is a fantasy adventure, and it has a 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb. It has a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. And 57% of people on Google anyways like this movie. The synopsis is, centuries ago, a supernatural champion named Master Gregory, who's played by Jeff Bridges, defeated Mother Malkin, played by Julianne Moore, a malevolent witch. Now she has escaped imprisonment and thirsts for vengeance. She summons her followers and prepares to unleash her wrath on humanity. Only one thing stands in her way: Master Gregory. Gregory takes Tom Ward, who's played by Ben Barnes, as his new apprentice, but he has only until the next full moon to teach Tom what usually takes years: how to prevail against dark magic. So I was really impressed by the casting, because there are quite a few pretty big actors in this movie, but it wasn't a very good movie. It wasn't very good. It had cool concepts and it had like, it was pretty funny. Even the CGI for it was pretty good at times. Sometimes it was really bad. But overall, like, it could have been really good, but it wasn't that great. It was still fun though. It's still a fantasy adventure, and honestly, it's hard to find really good ones of those. So, next movie was something a little cuter. It's called Missing Link, and it's a kids movie. It's rated PG. It came out in 2019, and it's an adventure comedy. Missing Link has a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb and 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's actually kind of impressive. And 60% of Google users liked this movie. Tired of living a solitary life in the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Link, who is 8 feet tall and covered in fur, recruits fearless explorer Sir Lionel Frost to guide him on a journey to find his long-lost relatives in the fabled Valley of Shangri-La. Along with adventurer Adelina Fortnite, please do not think of the video game as I said that, the trio encounters their fair share of peril as they travel to the far reaches of the world. Through it all, they learn that sometimes one can find a family in the places one least expects. So it's very heartwarming, it's very lighthearted. The animation was actually kind of cool, it was very interesting. It almost had like a clay-like texture to it. I mean, it's for kids. It had the moral of like, you know, you don't have to have a specific idea of who you are or what you are. You just have to have the right people around you, and you know, sometimes you gotta also admit that you're wrong or things like that, and you'll find friendships in some of the greatest places and some of the most unexpected places. It was cute, it was lighthearted, it was nice. It was nothing that will like stick with me forever. Like it's not like I just rediscovered watching Treasure Planet or anything, but it was nice. Next movie. I was expecting to really enjoy this movie. It's called Troll. It came out in 2022. It has a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb and an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 74% of Google users liked the movie. The synopsis is, when an ancient troll is awakened in Norwegian mountains, a ragtag group of heroes must come together to try and stop it from wreaking deadly havoc. That's a shitty synopsis for that movie, don't you think? Yeah. So Troll is about a troll that awakens in a mountain, and it's because they're like blowing up the mountain to build a tunnel for a highway. Now the thing is, the heroes, first of all, did not feel like heroes at all. Like it played on cliches that I didn't really appreciate how they played on them. And there were just so many moments where I was like, why? Like, all of this could have been avoided. I don't even know how to explain this, but it just felt very poorly done. So the troll wakes up, right? And the military is like, oh my gosh, there's this threat, blah, blah, blah. And there's this girl who she is a paleontologist or something, and they have her helping the military, which made no fucking sense. I'm like, why is she sitting in on a meeting with all of your government officials and your military generals and what? She's a paleontologist. When the fuck did she get approved? Like, I feel like there could have been more time spent with like how she gains the respect to be able to sit in that table, but whatever. And then they discover the troll, and it's just standing there, and they attacked it first, and then it gets mad, and then they can't kill it, and then they're like, oh my god, it's a danger. And I'm like, guys, like, you attacked it first. Isn't the usual way to do this is to see if it's a threat first before you attack it? And they were in like an open forest. It's not like it was going on a rampage in a city. So I don't know. There were just so many things that I thought went really wrong with this movie, but it could have been really interesting because the CGI was really good, and the concept of like trolls that inhabit the mountains, like, I don't know, I expected something more folkloric, almost something more fantastical, and it ended up just being like a big bad monster and tiny humans that have to save the world. And I'm like, but like, what? Like, how? There was such a beautiful story behind it too, and I'm like, the troll is sad. Like, that's pretty fucking obvious right from the get-go, and you're still attacking it. I don't know, whatever. That pissed me off. I'm going a little bit too long on that movie. Next movie is Operation Fortune, which is a Guy Ritchie movie, and I'm slowly discovering that Guy Ritchie is one of my favorite producers. Is it producer? Is that it? Is that what they're called? Director. One of my favorite directors. So Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre is the whole title. Which, if you don't know, ruse de guerre means like trick of war is like the literal translation. I'm sure there's another phrase for it, but it is an action comedy. It has a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb and a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 89% of Google users like this movie. Elite spy Orson Fortune must track down and stop the sale of a deadly new weapon technology wielded by billionaire arms broker Greg Simmons. Reluctantly teamed up with some of the world's best operatives, Fortune and his crew recruit Hollywood's biggest movie star, Danny Francesco, to help them on their globe-trotting mission to save the world. So, I mean, it's pretty typical storyline, I guess. It's a spy movie with high stakes, and they have to save the world or whatever and get their hands on this machinery. Like, it's nothing mind-blowing in what it is, and there aren't even any like special twists and turns or anything. But the comedy is beautiful, and the pacing of it is so fast, and you also kind of start the movie barely understanding what the fuck is going on, and by the end of it you're just like, what the hell did I just watch? So it was very good. It was fun. I recommend it if you enjoy that kind of stuff. I don't think that it was as good as The Gentleman, though, which The Gentleman was one that I watched recently, and it was good. Also a Guy Ritchie movie. And the final one is actually a TV show. It's a show that literally came out, like, I think maybe a few weeks ago. So it's called The Night Agent. It is a drama. Came out obviously this year, 2023. It has a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and it has a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 95% of people on Google, I guess, like this TV show. And it has a very short synopsis. It says, while monitoring an emergency line, an FBI agent answers a call that plunges him into a deadly conspiracy involving a mole in the White House. Pretty basic premise, right? But for some reason, this show did really good. And I think that it's because it focused on the fact that like this FBI agent, he's a nobody. He kind of just sits there at a desk for a phone that never rings, and then it does ring, and then the person calling isn't even the person that's really being attacked, and then they end up together trying to figure out what's going on, and there's all these little bits. Everyone made decisions that made sense. I think that's what I really enjoyed, is that throughout I was like, yes, that seems like the right thing to do. And then there were little elements that were brought in that made you think, well, is that involved in this? It seems completely unrelated, so why is that involved in it? Like, I don't know, the whole time I was very invested, very interested, and I'm hoping that it's just a one-off series, like a one-off 10 episodes done, because the way it ended could be open for more, but I liked the ending and I feel like it's a good place to stop, and I hope they do, because a lot of times when there's a show that had a good first season, they keep on going and then they ruin it somehow. So I don't know. If you have watched it, let me know, because I really enjoyed it. I could have binged it in like a day or two, but I think I waited a little longer because then I started watching it with Ryan, and Ryan was pretty interested in it. So yeah, it's good though. I didn't expect to enjoy a spy show that much. Oh my gosh, I think I'm done talking now. Yes, I'm done talking. I'm all done for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm curious what you might have read. If you've read any of the things that I've read or watched anything that I watched in this month, please let me know your opinions, your thoughts, anything, whatever. This has been a very chaotic video as per usual, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!
I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the